my name is Allie Schmidt. This is my dad, Dan. He owns Caitlin's Glass.
Thanks, Allie. Things like doors and windows go into making a house. But when it's your home, you expect more, like the great service and selection you'll get from Caitlin's Glass. Vinyl replacement windows from Caitlin's come with a lifetime warranty, including accidental glass breakage replacement. Also ask for custom shower doors and many other products and services. Call 962-1636. Locally owned with local employees for nearly 30 years.
Caitlin's Glass, the clear choice.
Hey, do you want to catch every episode live as it's being recorded? Log on to patreon.com/BeTempered for exclusive footage behind the scenes, photos, and a live recording as it takes place. Go to patreon.com/BeTempered.
Welcome to the BeTempered podcast, where we explore the art of finding balance in a chaotic world.
Join us as we delve into insightful conversations, practical tips, and inspiring stories to help you navigate life's ups and downs with grace and resilience.
We're your hosts, Dan Schmidt and
Ben Spahr.
Let's embark on a journey to live our best lives.
This is BeTempered.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the BeTempered podcast, episode number
65-ish, possibly 66, but it could be 65. So
we're not sure. Maybe some changes. We don't know. Man, I'm going to tell you right now, today's podcast episode is going to be powerful. We are fortunate enough to have one of my rite of passage teammates, Ray Mackelson, in from the great province of Manitoba, up in Canada. And Ray, if those of you listening remember the podcast where Ben interviewed me about my rite of passage experience, Ray was the leader of our group, our 18 men that took that trek through the North Georgia mountains. And Ray was an unlikely leader, but we all leaned on Ray's strength and determination to get through that 24-hour trek more than he knows. And, Ray flew in yesterday and has been spending some time with the Schmidt family in Eaton, Ohio. And hopefully I don't think we've overwhelmed him, but I'm excited for everyone to hear Ray's story, because what you're going to find out from this episode is that, as remarkable of a feat as it was for Ray to complete the rite of passage, it's even more remarkable that he got on the plane to fly to Georgia to do it. And so without further ado, Ray, welcome to the BeTempered podcast.
Welcome, Ray.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here. It's been just a fantastic last couple days. And yeah, I'm just super grateful to be here.
Yeah, man, we're grateful to have you here. We're grateful to hear your story. You and I had a conversation on the way back from the airport yesterday to the house, and then sitting outside talking. And this is probably going to be a little emotional for me, and maybe for you as well, when we hear this story. So how we start every podcast, as you know, is we like to start from the beginning. So if you would start from childhood and lead us, we'll get into the rite of passage. So talk about childhood for you.
For sure. So I was fortunate enough to have fantastic parents that, they love me very much. And I was blessed to have, a great childhood, great upbringing. But always as a kid, I had just a strong sense of fear, I guess, always kind of in my life. And, growing up, I'd be shy and nervous all the time. And, it started to manifest itself more and more as I grew up. And, some of my earliest things I can remember is just being a little kid in bed, laying down, and at nighttime trying to sleep, and just the total crippling fear of annihilation being something that I was always in the back of my head, like being afraid of just losing reality, I guess. And that kind of, I think, laid the framework for how I behaved, throughout my life. And so as I grew older and went through, more of childhood, I, experienced quite a bit of anxiety and just kind of, I would say, withdrawn behavior sometimes. Like, and most people would probably think I was just a shy kid or whatever. But as I got into my, I would say, 10 to 12 years old sort of years, that's where the first big manifestation of this came about. And I was in school. We watched a video on the hantavirus, which had some kind of outbreak or whatever in the 90s in New Mexico, and something about that just flipped a switch in me, where I became totally obsessive over becoming spontaneously ill, or having a spontaneous allergic reaction. Anyways, it kind of started to really affect everything. Like I can't remember exactly what happened in the days like leading after that experience, but I know that it became almost impossible for me to go any sort of distance, anywhere that was away from what I perceived as help. So, we would try and go to the Grand Beach, which is an hour away from our home, and that was impossible. As a kid, like we had to. I remember the first super big panic attack that I had. We were driving out there, and we ended up having to turn around because I just was screaming and in fear of being away from what I thought was like help, whether it was a hospital or whatever. And so I think that's when my parents started really noticing, there's something bigger starting to happen. And, like as a kid, I did, they probably saw some of that because I would be unusually nervous, I think, about certain things. So that happened in my adolescence, and then it kind of, continued throughout. It would go through waves as I was becoming a teenager, of severity, like whether I could, go do certain things with my friends or not. I'd always be kind of in the back of my mind fearful, or like starting to think, oh, what's going on? And like I told you, Dan, I had like asthma and stuff as a kid, where I didn't do a lot of like sports or anything like that, because as soon as I'd start running, I'd start getting an asthma attack, and I'm like, okay, well, that's totally in line with the fear, right? It's starting to make me scared of just dying all of a sudden, and like I couldn't put on any weight or anything. Eating was always a hard thing for me. Like as soon as I'd try eating, I'd instantly feel nauseous. So trying to get me to eat as a child, my parents, they had a hard time with that, I think.
Can you talk about your faith at that age? I mean, did you have faith? Did you understand faith? Where was that as far in your life?
So we were raised Christian, and we did go to Sunday school and things like that. And I think at that time in my life, I wanted to rely on that in some way, but I didn't know how. There was there wasn't a personal relationship, I think, with the Lord at that time for me. It was like thinking about faith when you're that scared at that young age and you don't really know what's happening or anything. It didn't stick with me. My mind was just too overrun, I think, at the time. Like I was always a very introspective kid, like to a fault, and it would. I'd never really have the ability to focus on something like that. Yeah.
So, this is going on, this triggers 10, 11, 12 years old, and it continues to get a little worse and a little worse and a little worse, right?
Yeah.
So talk about some more of those instances that you can remember where you couldn't go places, and maybe the impact that it had on your parents.
Yeah. So I know, like, going on any trips and stuff like that became a lot harder. Trying to do things with my friends, like as we got into high school and stuff, even just sometimes going on walks to a place that was, a little bit far away I'd be very, very scared. And, I think I probably hit it well, but, I was never present in pretty much anything that I would do. And even in school, I was always just this feeling of doom was always on my back. And, I'm sure it affected almost everything I did, really. Like, if I look back, there's no time I can remember not being influenced by that. And like, for my parents, they had, taken me to a child psychologist when I was younger and that I think helped. I'm not sure how much it helped them understand. I'm sure it helped quite a bit. But I think it helped me start to kind of display that there was something kind of going on,
So this continues to go on, but it continues to manifest worse and worse and worse and worse. Can you talk about, you told me some things yesterday about how you would be in certain positions.
Yeah.
Holding your knees.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about that.
Yeah. So once I got to, I was fortunate enough that through my later years of high school and early adulthood, like around 17 and 18, the panic attacks sort of, and the anxiety in general, it petered out a little bit, and I was able to function a little bit more normally, and then when I became 19, I remember I was 19, and it just kind of came out of nowhere, just a wicked panic attack. And again, it's always around this theme of becoming spontaneously ill, like with some sort of reaction, and actually, I might even remember it. I might have had a pineapple drink, I think is what I might have had. And it just made a tickle in my throat. And man, that just sent me to a place that this panic just wouldn't stop. And so it was like, you'd wake up and think, okay, it'll be gone tomorrow. That fear never left. And it just started getting worse and worse, and I would not, I'd be sitting curled up in a ball for hours on end, just worrying about this thing that never happened, obviously.
Yeah.
But and that continued, and it got worse and worse through my 19th and 20th year, where there was a lot of time where I wouldn't go out. I was probably withdrawing from my relationships, and couldn't work. It got to the point where I couldn't work for a while, and stopped eating. Because just the idea of eating food, it was like, okay, this is going to give me an allergic reaction. And so I was already a skinny kid, and like I got real skinny, and it just kept manifesting until I couldn't leave the house, and I'd force myself to sometimes try and go on walks, and it eventually got to the point where those didn't even happen anymore. I was just stuck,
Stuck, locked in your room,
Yeah.
curled up in a ball.
Yeah. Like I remember there was this time I was probably 20, and my parents brought home a houseplant, and it was on the counter upstairs in the kitchen. And I came home and I saw that, and I was so horrified that I might smell something on this plant that it would kill me, that I went to the basement and literally sat curled up in a ball for 4 or 5 hours until someone else came home. And and then I would feel some sort of safety, right? But even then, I couldn't go around the plant. I couldn't, it was really
Just tremendous fear.
Yeah, and it was displaying itself in a way that was clearly mentally ill. Like there's mental illness involved, and like there would also be elements of like obsessive compulsive things. Like I would have to do certain things to feel that I could continue on with my day, in order to get past some of these things. And so they started taking me to another psychologist when I was 21. When I would see this guy a couple times. I tried a couple other things too. I think like hypnotherapy and stuff like that. And there was no solution. It just kept going. And I remember it eventually got to the point where we were at a and I was brutally depressed at this. You can imagine. I'm sure. I wasn't getting out. I wasn't having fun. And I was doing everything I could to we did have the internet at that time, so we were I was trying to figure things out on my own. What kind of solutions there are, and I tried every alternative sort of thing you can imagine. And we were at this appointment, and I ended up having this panic attack during the appointment, and it was to the point where I told the guy, like, I'm ready to turn the off button on life here. This is beyond horrible, and I'd been dealing with that for the past couple of years of those thoughts, right? And so they admitted me to the hospital. I was seen right away, put in, stayed there for 5 days, and they put me on benzodiazepines and antidepressants. And I remember actually having a good time in the hospital because like it was because obviously the drugs worked,
right?
They instantly put me in a state of like I was just in a dream. And so I stayed there, got out, and continued on the new cycle of now I'm on these meds, and what is life like now? And so,
what was life like?
Life, from my point of view, it got way better, right? Because now I was able to go out again, and I was able to live, to eventually get a job again. I started working, started seeing my friends again. I could, on the surface, look normal. There was always fear in the back of my mind, and I would still get a panic attack here and there. But I was taking these medications and thinking, okay, well, this is life now. There wasn't any huge adventures because I was, afraid still. But I thought, well, maybe that's just who I am.
You were afraid, but it wasn't debilitating like it was before without the medication.
Exactly.
So how long were you on the medication?
7 years total. Yeah. So during this time of being on the medication, I developed like a chronic pain sort of syndrome where I was always like the tension in my body was so crazy that all the muscles in my shoulders and neck were constantly rigid, and just headaches all the time, and just pain, and it got really, really, really bad There was points where I, just laying in bed, on the verge of tears because you're just so frustrated with how much pain you're in, and there's nothing you can do about it.
So what years would this have been? Like when you got on the medication, roughly what was the year?
So I was 21. So that would be, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I would say the pain, started very shortly after that. And what I believe it was now is just that inward manifestation of the anxiety, like your body's just holding on to it and there's no outlet, really. And so that eventually led me to the place where, I don't want to just skip over all my 20s, but, I just lived a relatively normal life from being 21 to about 28.
But you had mentioned yesterday it was almost like a fog, right?
Yes.
With those drugs?
Yeah. So unknowing to me at the time, they really blunted my ability to feel emotions properly. And, I'd have relationships during these years and, they'd always be, fleeting and I was always I still had a lot of fluctuation in my ability to be normal, I guess. Like I'd have times where the anxiety does get the better of me and stuff like that, and the depression and things, and being a super introspective, inwardly focused person too, it almost amplifies things, right? So yeah, and dealing with that along with the pain as well is like, it's just a mixture for nothing good.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 7 years.
Yeah.
What makes you stop the medication?
So at that time, I was in my job of being a tattooer, and the pain is just too much now, and I'm trying to find a solution to it. And I ended up contacting a woman off the internet that I had read about. She was about pain, and I can't even remember specifically what it was, but I do remember she replied to me and she's like, "Oh, you're on benzodiazepines. That's what's happening. You've built a tolerance, and they're causing something in there." And I was like, "Oh, yeah. Well, the doctors have been saying for years that, you shouldn't be on this very long, which you're only supposed to be on benzos for like 2 weeks max."
And you're on for 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. Let's try and get off of the, it should be as easy as, you cut them down, whatever. And that was not the way it went. It was horrible trying to get off of these.
So where'd you go? What'd you have to do to get off, to wean yourself off?
So I first started by just breaking them into pieces, taking a little less each day. And now the panic attacks are starting to get strong again. And I'm like, well, that's not very nice. And so I do my own research trying to figure things out. The doctor I was seeing wouldn't help me at all with this. So I tried seeing another doctor, and I researched, Valium, which is a benzodiazepine as well. Like I was on clonazepam, and Valium has a much longer half-life. And I've heard of people using that and diluting it in water and then taking a little bit less. And then it's just gentler on your body is what it is supposed to be. So I found a doctor that would agree to that, tried doing it, and my body didn't agree with that. I dropped weight like crazy.
Did you have weight to drop?
No. So I'm 6'1", and I was probably 125 when I started this. And so I got to the point where I looked so horrible that I didn't even want to step on the scale. My parents were concerned for sure.
Sure.
And
why did the doctor not want, like the original doctor, why did he just not want you to pull off that medication?
He wouldn't really give me the time of day. It was just not, there was no care involved. you know,
Part of the Canadian healthcare system.
Yeah, exactly. It was, I got nothing good to say about that. So I started trying to do this Valium tapered withdrawal, and it was just not working. And I found I started researching like benzodiazepine specific clinics, you know, and there was nothing in Canada that I could find that would service that. And so what I did find was a place in San Diego to go, and that's what their thing was. And it was the treatment was they hook you up to a vitamin solution, NAD, which is some derivative of B vitamins, and it basically flushes out the benzos, and they say high success rate, you're all good. And I was like, well, that's awesome. You know, it was very expensive, but we went and did it because like it was life or death at that time, and my parents knew that, and so my mom came down with me. And just that trip, that was a hard trip to make, right? Because I'm struggling to just get on a plane. And
because of the anxiety.
Yeah.
So how did you do that?
Well, I mean, there's no other option. Right?
Your back was against the wall.
Yeah. So I do it, and you know that you can imagine what someone who's scared is like. Like I'm clinging to my mom. I'm 26 years old.
Probably 100 pounds.
Yeah, and just going, you know, and I didn't at this time. I didn't have faith, you know, in the Lord. It was from my perception, it was all on my own, and you know, I'll find out later that you know the amount of praying my mom was doing for me. That was
an amazing woman.
Yeah. And my I'm sure my dad too, like my whole family, really, they're the support that I had over my life has been, you know, fantastic. Because I'm sure things would have went a lot different if I didn't have that support.
For sure. So you go to San Diego, you go through this treatment. Do you remember what that was like?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm hooked up to the IV. The doctor there, very, very nice guy. The nurse is there too. Fantastic people. And so you're just hooked up to an IV for like 8 or 10 hours a day, and you just sit there. And they try and keep the drip as steady and as fast as you can tolerate. And man, that's quite the sensation. So this fluid is going into you at a pretty steady degree, and the way that they kind of gauge how much you can take is the pressure on your chest of like when this is going through into your arm, you know, you get to the point where it's like someone standing on your chest. That's how it feels. It's pretty wild, and you know, I'm just there taking it, and we're staying at a hotel. You know, but my mom is in the room with me during the day, and she's, you know, there with me and just watching me drip away, and so that
and I'm sure praying,
yeah,
you know, that this works,
yeah, and that goes on for, I think we're there 10 or 11 days. You know, and I'm struggling with this experience. Like it's each day is dealing with these horrible panic attacks while this is happening, and because like the way these panic attacks work, and it's not like, I don't even think calling it a panic attack is the right word, right? It's just you feel like you're just constantly dying. Like the fear of death is just constantly upon you, and like it's an overwhelming sense of doom, just constantly on you, and I'll find out eventually, that it's a disorder of some other type down the road.
Yeah. So you leave San Diego.
Yeah.
You go back home.
Yeah.
Are you back to normal?
No, not even close. So leaving San Diego, getting on that plane was one of the hardest things, because I had like a few little crumbs left of these benzodiazepines left that I hadn't thrown out yet. And so the night before we leave, I'm in that hotel room with my mom, just losing my mind in fear for this plane ride that we have to have. And, I'm looking at these pills and I'm like, I might have to do this, to take them again. Like, all of this would be for nothing. And, I wish I could remember the moment better, but I remember there was a bit of letting go there that happened, and we ended up getting on the plane and made it.
And you didn't take those pills?
No, I didn't take the pills, because it would have ruined everything. So I threw those out. We got back home, and I thought, like, especially after I did get to talk to someone else who went through this, and they said they were great. So I get home and I'm not great. I ended up being awake for 11 days straight after that. I don't know what was going on, but my body didn't like whatever was happening. And I end up finding out that there's something called acute post-withdrawal syndrome from benzodiazepines.
11 days.
Yeah.
Of not sleeping.
Where
was your mind at?
Oh, it was, I don't know where it was. It was in such a fog, like I can barely remember anything of that time. And I do remember I couldn't read things, like trying to look at a gas station sign or something like that. Couldn't even tell what I was looking at.
Because it was blurry?
Yeah, I think so. I think my mind was just in so much of a fog that, you can't really tell what's going on. And like I eventually get to sleep after those 11 days, and I don't want to say I'm starting to get back to normal, but I'm starting to become a little bit more functional, and in total at that time I took off 6 weeks of work. So, and here's the thing too about this whole situation. I am working while this is happening. Like, my parents, being as supportive as they are, when I was young, they always made it so that you still have to live.
Yeah,
essentially is what they instilled in me, and so I clung to working, even if it was only for 2 hours a day sometimes, and only once or twice a week. I would still, do my tattoos or whatever I need to do during these years. And so, that's. I'm sure my clients could tell I was probably like a little bug-eyed while I'm working, but I really clung to that, because otherwise you're staying at home and just like being trapped. Consumed.
Yeah, you're trapped.
Yeah.
So how long did this go on where you were kind of in this fog? So you go 7 years.
Yeah.
On these different medications.
Mm-hmm.
You go away for 10, 11, 12 days to San Diego, and you come home after going through that essential detox, right? Mm-hmm. And how long was this next period of your life just trying to get back on your feet?
I would say that the withdrawal syndrome took a total of about 3.5 years to work its way out. And it went through various stages. There's waves, and I read on online, like there's forums or whatever that of people who've experienced similar things. And yeah, you go through waves and troughs of these feelings.
Highs and lows.
Highs and lows. Yeah, like some days are a little more functional, some days are not. You go through feeling like, for me, there was this horrible feeling of like anger and just like rage that, I never acted upon. I'm not a person who raised my voice or anything like that, but it was like just pure hatred of all life. Really is almost how I felt for a good chunk of this time. And like, your body goes through these weird feelings, like you just feel like you're hungover or just horribly sick. The sensitivity to light, like you can't look outside. When the sunlight touches your skin, you just feel like needles are rubbing against you. All sorts. And like I was telling you too, it took me a couple months before I could actually read again and like decipher what I was looking at on like a page of paper. Just the amount of damage to your brain, I guess, this does over that period of time. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
So 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
What makes the switch to where you're at now? Because you're probably from where you're at now to backing up to where you finally come out of that a little bit. How many years are we talking right now?
Yeah. So that that's about 6.5 years, I think. I should say that withdrawal period lasted from when I was about 30 to let's see, I'm getting my days all mixed up here. Here, I went into treatment when I was 26 or 27. So yeah, it's probably started to I started to get a little bit more normal in my early 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, 33, and I'm 36 right now, almost 37. So what starts to happen is over that period of time, I start getting a little bit normal. I'm able to socialize more and stuff like that. The panic attacks are still there, but when I'm about 29 or 30 years old, that's when I start to remember something that I had researched back in the day after hearing about Michaela Peterson and her carnivore diet. And so I remember reading about this nurse who treated people with agoraphobia, which is, I guess, what you would call what I had, just the fear of being out and away from help. And she treated them with high doses of B vitamins. And so I tried it. I just went to the store, bought some B1 and B6, and I took them in high doses. And within about 2 weeks, the feeling of doom that was always around me was gone. I just woke up one day, I was like, oh, that's different. And then I started to put the pieces together, like, well, if I just researched, what do B vitamins do in your body? Well, they metabolize carbohydrates. And so I thought, well, if she's got rid of all the carbs and she's doing great, maybe it's time to try that. And I do. I go on carnivore diet. It takes about 2 months of adjusting to it. Your body takes a couple months. But yeah, I became like a new person. All the fear, the panic. I haven't had a panic attack since. All the doom gone. The asthma gone. Like I had kind of a rash that was all over my chest for years and years. Gone. It was crazy, just wild how and it's like you literally become different,
like a whole new person.
Yeah, just crazy to start living life and you're like, oh wow, I'm alive now.
Yeah. For 30 plus years of your life, you lived in this tremendous fear.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like you're born again.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you go with that?
So, I just start, living normal life, enjoying things now that I didn't get to enjoy before. But I mean, there's remnants, right, of these things. So, I'm still, even though now I can go for a drive, to the beach, whatever, and I can make it, there's always like that background. It's almost like fear becomes a habit, right? And you're still fighting that to some degree in all things. Like I picked up hunting and I really enjoyed that. And, it was a real challenge for me to go to these remote places sometimes by myself. And like, I'm sitting there and I'm still struggling. Even though I feel like the problem is actually gone, it's like it leaves a scar, on your soul to a degree where you've got to, go through that and deal with it. And, so, but overall my quality of life has improved substantially, and, things are good.
So with everybody hearing that story, and how you and I met was, in the North Georgia mountains on our 24-hour trek.
Yes.
So, I want everybody to keep that in mind. Here's a guy who was essentially trapped in your room in the fetal position for hours upon hours of a time because you may have been scared of a plant that your parents brought home, or picking up some sort of disease or something. You were just, completely shut down in your bedroom, trapped for many, many years to go through all those things. And then you decide at some point in time, faith comes back in your life, and you decide, I'm going to sign up for a 24-hour trek with some Navy SEAL and a bunch of crazy other dudes. So kind of fast forward to that point where faith comes back in your life. You are introduced to Chad Wright in the 3 of 7 project, and why in the world you would even consider signing up for something. Because had you been on a plane before that?
Yeah. I had a couple times, but again, those times were all with drugs.
Yeah.
I went overseas, and I was on clonazepam that whole time. And I did. I think I probably went on a plane maybe twice after this whole thing, after I got off of the drugs. But it was extremely uncomfortable for me. It's very hard. And so
when did faith start to come back in your life?
I would say it started building over the last 2 years, 2 to 3 years. It started building itself, and I didn't even realize that that's what was happening. But there's just little things that start kind of creeping in, where you start realizing things, and I've always thought a lot about morality and what is good and what is evil in my mind, and went through those kind of thoughts, and it that led me, I think, in the direction a bit, as well as the fact that I and I think this comes with having a lot of problems, is that you become inwardly focused. Like I was already an introspective person, but when you start being consumed by your problems become bigger than everyone else's to you, and it leads to selfishness. And after coming out of the withdrawal period, I was so disgusted with myself and how selfish I was, just in my thinking and everything, that I felt like I couldn't love at all. My ability to love was was gone. And the realization I have now is that, God is love. That's where the love truly is, and it's in that sacrifice of yourself to others that love is truly shown, and realizing that Jesus was that in its perfectness. It just cracked me right open, and that's how I found him.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So at some point you decide, or you hear about this rite of passage thing with the 3 of 7 project. Kind of talk about that and what made you think I need to do that.
Mm-hmm. So I'd say it was this past October that I signed up for it. We were on, my girlfriend and I, we were on our way back to Winnipeg from Boston. We went there for a concert. And on the way back, I was listening to a podcast with Chad, and he talked about the rite of passage, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's the hardest thing that we offer." And I don't know, something about it just clicked, and I was like, "Yeah, this is what I got to do." And I remember telling Francesca, my girlfriend, that I was like, "Yeah, I got to do this." And so this is, so October is what, 7 or 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And so right about this time is when I'm starting to truly realize that Jesus is the way. And it was probably only, like I think I was already realizing this at that time, because I was getting more involved with learning about his sacrifice and just the I think I was looking more into the intellectual side of that, and I started wanting to go to church, and I was like watching not televised, but like virtual church sessions and stuff
YouTube
like that.
sermons
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it just started becoming more and more apparent that that God is real, and that this is it.
Yeah.
This is the truth. And and yeah, that's when I, like, very shortly after I had signed up for that, I gave my life to Christ. And the fruits of that have been just unbelievable. As soon as that happened, and and the biggest is being able to love, to love other people, and the I mean, you can't put a price on that. It's unbelievable.
You can't. No.
Yeah.
So you sign up.
Mm-hmm.
You give your life to Christ.
Yeah.
The event is the end of June, right? What kind of training did you do?
So my perception of what the rite of passage was it was I underestimated it severely. So at first we get back and it's October, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna train. I'm gonna get up every day and go and climb we've got a pretty steep hill. It was a landfill, but now it's a park. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to climb this thing every day. And in my mind, I've built it up like, yeah, I'm going to start a half an hour a day and then build up. So I did. I started getting up at 5 in the morning, going to this hill, doing it up and down started at half an hour. And like, it never progressed more than there was one day where my timer didn't go off and I did 45 minutes. but then winter comes, and that hill becomes just pure ice, so you can't even go up it. It's so steep. So yeah, and and so I just, what everyone in Winnipeg pretty much does is we just withdraw for the winter and do nothing. And for anyone listening who doesn't know, it gets to minus 40 Celsius there. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And so then once summer starts coming around, I do go back to the hill a bit more once the snow starts thawing, and but I didn't take any sort of serious training involved. And so about a month before the thing, my girlfriend and I, we decided, okay, well, we got to start going on some walks here. So the first one we go on is probably a month and a half before the ROP, and it's we walk 15 kilometers, and man, that was a rude awakening. But whatever. I was like, okay, I got to start taking it more seriously. And then, so I do start doing a lot more like exercising and stuff like that. And then, a month later or 2 weeks later, we do 40 kilometers, which that's a pretty good go.
Yeah.
We did in 9 hours. Her dad came with us.
Okay.
And that was actually so fun. But during this thing, so I had experienced once before that when I tried getting into running a couple years back, and I did a 10K, and through the 10K, I ended up getting ITB syndrome, like I can't pronounce it, iliothelial band or whatever it is. Anyways, it's a super painful thing where you've got this big band of tissue on the side of your leg that goes from your hip to your knees, and it starts rubbing against your knee because of tension and becomes super painful. And so when I did that 10K, that started hurting at about 6 kilometers in, and I had come, I dealt with it that day, and it was really painful, but whatever. And I didn't really think much about that until it was in the back of my mind a bit, but during the hill climbs and stuff, it never bothered me. So I was like, oh, maybe it's all better.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So we do this 40K walk, and on kilometer 15, it starts coming back, and I'm like, oh no. By kilometer 18, it's like, oh, the pain's about an 8 or 9 out of 10, and I'm start thinking, oh, this is some rough stuff here.
Good.
Yeah. And then we continue the whole 40, and by the end of the 40, I'm like, oh, I can't extend my legs anymore. Like my knees, I'm doing like a stiff walk, like a peg leg kind of walk, because it's extremely painful.
40K is how many miles?
I was waiting for you to do the math.
Look at it.
It's 24 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
About half of what we did.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the night that after that, we get home and we're all sore, but I'm like extremely, extremely sore. And I'm in bed that night, and the pain is like excruciating, absolutely excruciating. And I end up like, I can't really go up and down stairs. You got to kind of like crab walk almost to get up and down to the bed, like from the bedroom to the. And so I came down the following morning, and it was like unbelievable how painful it was. I honestly thought that I wouldn't be able to do the ROP because it was so bad. Like I thought, oh, I'm going to have to drop out. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to be functioning. Because after I did that 10K, it took a few days before I could even bend my knees. So, but now the crazy thing is I came downstairs that day. I went into the shower and I put my hands on my knees, and I, like, just in tears, like, said to the Lord, if you can take this away, please, if it's your will, do it. And no joke, I walked out of there like nothing even happened, out of the shower. And it was like, I was in shock. chauffeur and Chaska, and I'm like, it's like, wow, that's pretty wild. And that along with a couple other things before that led up to the ROP led me to really believe that's where I was supposed to be, because like what do you do? What do you do about that, right?
Yeah.
When you experience that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You asked and received. And so then fast forward to getting on the plane. I mean, knowing your story, that's what blew me away yesterday as we talked. And just, I mean, everybody think about what Ray's talked about, you know, growing up and the battles he faced and all those challenges in your life, and the anxiety and the stress and all that stuff that you had been through mentally. And now it's time to get on a plane by yourself, fly to the States to go through something you know is going to hurt. Like, I know how I felt. I know the anxiety that I felt, but I didn't battle what you battled. So talk about that time going to the airport, getting on the plane, and making that flight.
Yeah. So the day before I'm supposed to go on the plane, I have a little daily Bible verse that pops up, and the one I get is from Isaiah, and it's those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength, and they will soar on wings like eagles, and they will run and not they will walk and not grow weary. They will run and not grow faint. And hopefully I said that one properly. But man, seeing that at that timing, it was just like, oh, okay, that put a lot of confidence in me that I'm going the right place. And so that was always in the back of my mind as I'm getting on this plane and I'm going. And flying's a struggle for me, but you know, I'm at a place now where I do have faith, and it's doable for me, you know. And I get there, and as soon as I land, you know, you get the relief of, okay, I'm not in the sky anymore. and I land in Atlanta, and I end up having fun there. You know, I'm just by myself driving around this big city, and I go to the aquarium, and it's super cool and everything. And then I go to my hotel and start realizing what's about to happen. And I wake up the next day and make the 2.5 hour drive up to Rome, and it's hot. It's so much hotter than I was expecting. I'm like,
hotter than Canada, huh?
Oh man. So the humidity, and I'm just like, that fear starts coming back where I'm like, I'm not prepared for heat. I've had heat stroke before, and it's horrible. And I'm like, the doubts start creeping in. I'm like, am I gonna get sick out there? Am I gonna, am I gonna die because of heat stroke? Am I gonna whatever? And it starts that I'm doing a good job of keeping that like cyclical thinking of horrible stuff at bay. You know, it's definitely not like what it used to be where it's all consuming, but you know, that fear is still there, and it's so frustrating to come that far and to still have that. But whatever, I'm like, I came this far, let's keep going. And I even said to myself when I was in Rome after I had lunch there, I was just like, man, I could go home right now, and I've done more for this than like I'd be happy, is what I thought at that time. That's what I told myself. And but I'm like, no, let's keep going. So I go there, make it to the campsite, and I'm the third person to show up. Billy and Matt are both there. Yeah. And so they're awesome to be the first ones that I meet them, and they're super cool. But I'm sitting there, and they're not struggling with the heat, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, I'm just kind of pouring water on myself. And And everyone starts showing up, and I look around and I'm like, oh man, everyone's fit, everyone's, I start thinking, well, I'm in the wrong place here. It's pretty apparent that I'm the smallest guy, physically, not even comparable to everyone else. And I'm thinking, man, I'm in for it,
But little did you know, we were all thinking the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And
we all faced the same anxiety.
Mm-hmm. And you expressing that to me before we started really did help so much. Relieving and sharing that experience. Yeah.
Just to let everybody know that, hey, no matter how strong I might have looked or Tucker or any of these other men looked, like we're still human.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were all still full of anxiety and stress and doubt. Have we done enough training? What's this like the heat? I hadn't been able to train in that either. And so we all faced those same fears. But again, knowing your story, like it's truly remarkable that you did fly into Atlanta and then make the trek up there to do it. Because like you said, you could have very easily turned around and went home and been like, you know what? I gave it my best, and probably felt okay.
Yeah.
But it would have been a whole different experience, not just for you, but for, 17 other men.
Yeah.
So we set up camp. Chad comes, talk about, and I haven't told this story yet. You and I talked about it. You obviously know. So Chad comes in, right? And Blake and Chili and Cornbread, and they kind of lay the ground rules and talk about what to expect and what the rules are and all those things. And then they do a bag check. Well, me being the selfish person that I am, one of the items on the mandatory list was a raincoat. And so, Ray and I are next to each other on the picnic table, got our bags all opened up, and Chad's coming around, and I hear he's checking somebody beside me, and I hear him say, first thing he said was, "You got your raincoat?" And I thought, oh shit, I left the raincoat at the house on purpose because I thought, I'm going to welcome the rain. Like if it rains, I will gladly accept the water soaking me. And I'm just in my mind now, I'm panicking like, is he not going to let me go? So he comes and, let me see your rain gear. And I kind of fumbled around, and you instantly spoke up and you said, "Hey, I got an extra raincoat." And I'm like, holy cow. And now I know you are Jesus because of everything that we went through. But that experience was like, that started to expose how selfish of a person I was because the mandatory list wasn't that big. And we'd had it. That's the only thing that we'd had for 6 months prior to know what was, to expect. And here, I didn't bring it. If you wouldn't have showed up, I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't have let me go. I don't know. I don't know what the rule would have been. So right there, you saved me. And that wasn't the first time. So to kind of talk about that experience for you as we were doing the gear check and going through that night.
Mm-hmm. So Chad comes and sits us all down, and the thing that really rattled me is like he starts saying, "This is not a place where you come and just try to do your best, and then you get to quit." Partway through, he says, "There's real consequences for your actions out there. That there's not if like we're going into remote places where if you need to get out, you got to walk out. There's no one coming to save you." And I never thought about that as and that shook me right up because I'm like, man, that is the thing that I am most scared of, is being somewhere far away from help and having something happen. And man, that just set a type of thinking that really took me to some bad places throughout that night. And so as soon as he said that, we go through the gear check and everything, and I'm so flustered. And I'm trying to figure out what I need. And I probably went back and forth from my tent to the car to the bag like 5 times and didn't even do anything. I was so mixed up, man. And then the night came, and as a team decided, okay, we're getting up at 3:15.
Now, hold on, back up a little bit, because we divided up into teams and we had to select leaders.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
We selected leaders, and you were selected Team 1's leader.
Yeah. So it was the 2 youngest guys were nominated, and it was Casey and I. And
what'd you think about that?
I was kind of, I don't want to say I was happy about it, but I was like, okay, well, if this is going to be the hardest thing, then let it be the hardest thing. So what, I was like, I'm okay with that responsibility. I'm not a good leader, like a that type of personality, I don't think, but I care about doing that. So I'll do it.
You were the perfect leader. You really were.
Well, thanks, man.
So starts to get dark. We all go to bed, or try to.
Yeah.
Talk about your experience in your tent.
So my tent was I got it for $40 because it was the smallest thing I could find, and it was literally just the size of my body.
You look like you were the hot dog, and your tent was the bun.
Yeah, exactly. That it was so horrible. There was no ventilation on it, and
it was raining.
It was raining.
It was hot.
It was hot, and I was just in there, petrified, cooking, and just covered in sweat. I've got this one little bottle of liquid IV next to me, and I'm so scared that I got up 4 times throughout the night to pee. I didn't sleep a single wink at all. I probably peed 2 liters of water. That's how, like, just fear pee, and I get back in my tent each time, and I'm like I drink half of this thing, and I'm like, I'm going to be so dehydrated in the morning. And and I'm watching the time tick away. We got no service. I'm like desperately trying to get my phone reception to get like a Bible verse for encouragement, really. And the time just keeps going, and I'm just like getting more into dread, really. It's 3:00 rolls around. I got up at 3. It was 3:15 that everyone was supposed to be up. I got up at 3, just started walking around and just not having a good time.
Yeah, just worry, fear, doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody wakes up. We all get our stuff, and because we had to be ready between 4 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all just sitting there ready, waiting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was. I remember sitting next to you on the picnic table, and I know how I felt, and I remember looking at you, and I could just see it in your face. Like tremendous fear and anxiety, and just trying to be encouraging. Because we were all feeling the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So. We go through that time. Would you say mentally? Well, no, I'm not even going to say that. That was a very difficult time, I think, for all of us. For me, it was probably the most challenging time. Was that night before. Yeah. Just that stress and that anxiety and that doubt. I had never really felt something that powerful where I just felt like, what have I done?
Yeah.
And so let's fast forward. They pick us up. And now we're on our way to the trail.
Yeah. So we're on our way. I actually really enjoyed that drive there, because I'm sitting up at the front. I've got even before we got going, I was super impressed with everybody there. Like, everyone was awesome. The personalities, the genuineness of everyone there, incredible. So that was really cool. And just knowing you got a a bunch of really awesome guys behind you is fantastic. And then I'm sitting up at the front, Blake's driving, Chili's in the passenger seat. And, I got to have a nice little conversation with them just about faith and just how things are going. And I really enjoyed that. They were awesome. And I seen 2 armadillos on the road. I never even seen an armadillo before. And so that was cool. But then, after that drive, we get to the place and I look up and, that's a mountain. That's a real mountain, and so the doors open and Chili explained, the way this works is I start going and you guys get into formation and there's no fussing around. It's like you're going. And those doors open and we weren't the cleanest getting out of here. And so team 2 ends up being in front. We get out there, it's not clear who's going first. And so we get a little bit of a kick in the butt from Chad.
Yeah.
And so team 2 starts going and they're going fast up that hill. And that was shocking not only how the pace that they started off with, but the rate of incline, of elevation change. I was like, oh man, this first half hour is brutal, man. It's way more than I was expecting. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the same feeling. I thought this pace is going to be difficult to maintain for me. And then looking around at some of the other guys thinking, it's not just going to be me that's going to be struggling with this. So we take off, we're trucking through, we finally catch up. I think Jamie may have yelled up front. I don't know if Alan was in front or whoever was in front was like, hey, slow the pace down. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be able to maintain this. Not everybody's going to be able to maintain this. At what point in time did you start to feel some pain?
It was about 2 hours in, I think, that it became really apparent that, okay, that knee thing that I was hoping was not going to be an issue is a serious thing. Like it's showing itself. And we went up, right? And on the decline, the first decline, that's when I was like, oh man, this is way too soon for this to be happening.
Yeah. You got 22 hours to go.
Yeah. And so that started happening. And I was like, whatever, it's just pain. I can't show it. Like the atmosphere that this team had, it was that the team was first, right? And I think that probably caught all of us. We didn't understand what that meant.
No, we didn't.
Because for to sign up for this, it probably is a secondary thing to think about the team. You're thinking, what can I do? How far can I go? But the realization is like, okay, now I'm part of this team. They are counting on me, and I can't show that it's a problem. And I tried not to for the first bit. I really did my best to. But I think that the limp became apparent fairly quickly. And I know once we got to that first resupply, you could tell the reaction from Chad that I was like, oh, there's some doubts on this guy. And I spilled water all over myself. And I was so flustered because that was the course was so much harder than what I was expecting. Yeah. I didn't know that we were really climbing mountains because that's what we were doing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get through that. The first resupply was a little chaotic because it was our first one, not really knowing what to do. I think we got through it pretty good as a team, mm-hmm. and that set the foundation for the next ones to come. But I didn't notice your struggle until after when we got close to that second resupply and we started coming down that fire road, mm-hmm. and that's when I started to notice, you were 4 or 5 guys up ahead of me, and I could start to see you limping, and then I'd hear Chad yell out up at you, or if we weren't in front, he was wanting you to be in front. you or Casey or Wesley in some cases. But talk about that when we started coming down that mountain to that second resupply. And I think it was Scott that grabbed your bag first to try to help you out. Kind of go through that sequence of events, because that's where I feel like, for me, I can't speak for the other guys, and maybe I can't speak for you, but I feel like that was the moment that kind of galvanized us as a team. Like, it could have went the complete opposite way than what it did. So talk about that experience coming down that mountain before that second resupply.
Yeah. So, coming down there, the pain was already, it was full power, basically. It was really bad. Even before that moment happened, the care that was starting to be shown, like I was struggling even on that first ascent with just intaking calories. And I was so fortunate to have Ryan behind me, who had done these some of the trails nearby. Like, he was familiar with it, and he's an experienced trail guy. And, he provided me with some honey and stuff, and that snapped me right back. And I started to understand how important it was to actually keep the food going and like that. But man, having him behind me, caring about and kind of instructing me and guiding me, like what you're going to be feeling and stuff, super important. Then as we're coming down to that second resupply, and having the people behind me start saying, "You got this, Ray," like, and starting to notice and showing that they cared was pretty massive. And then, Scott coming and taking my bag. Like, I remember when he asked me, do you want me to take this bag from you? And I didn't, no one wants to be the guy, right? But I was like, it has to, I can't. Right. So sure. Just having the humility, I guess, to be able to let go of that, your pride there, and be like, I can fully admit I was a wreck, like physically I'm not capable of this on my own. So I was so grateful for that. And yeah, we start going down to this second resupply. I don't have my bag anymore. I'm looking like a, pretty rough. And Chad starts showing out, "Ray, you look like you need a Coke." And, that adding some lightness to it, I think that really did help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that at that second resupply, that people helped me, fill my bottles up and got me straight, like that again, be grateful and more great. Like, I can't express my gratitude for that.
Yeah.
And that continued throughout this whole day.
It was powerful.
It was
powerful. At some point in time, where was your mind at as far as like faith? And did you ever, like what you did in the shower when he was killing you after you did that training, did you ever, pray and say, I need you? Oh,
constantly. It was from the moment we literally got going, and me realizing, oh, this is so much worse than I was expecting. I was praying that whole day, just constantly, asking for, if he can take the pain away, take it away. If not, let me bear it. And give me the strength to go. And I really did keep my gratitude for still being there. Like, I knew how important it was to be there. Like, there never once did I ever get angry or spiteful at this situation, but it was just so hard. it was so hard. And yeah.
But you kept taking the step. But you kept, I mean, you were in the front of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
You kept taking that step. You kept moving forward. It was incredible to be a part of and to see, to witness.
Yeah.
And like I've said before, I don't know what would have happened if you would have quit.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were that leader, whether you think you were or not. You were who we were all following, no matter how fast or how slow. It was truly incredible, and then that's why you're here. Like, because my wife, she's like, you got to get Ray in person, because it's obvious that he had that you had a tremendous impact on me and my experience, and my faith journey, along that whole trek. It just was an amazing experience. At any time, were you done?
Oh yeah. I truly felt like I was done even before we got going to some degree. Like I just felt so defeated a lot. But there was always something, whether it was a look, a smile from you or one of the other guys, or there was always one thing there that was just enough to keep me in it. And that it was amazing, the timing of things throughout the day. Because each time that I was at the end of the rope, there was something there. And one of the biggest turning points was when we were going through that. It was a rocky decline section after the first resupply, I think. It was the first or second resupply. It was when Cornbread came up and talked to me that first time. And, I truly wanted this experience to be something where I learn how to surrender. That was my why, and he came up to me and started talking about that, like what surrender really is to the Lord. And one of the things he said, that really shook me was, that, the Lord might have put these rocks all on this trail here just for you to stumble over, as long as it's, giving the glory to Him. It's here for you to surrender to. That's what this whole pain is. And in realizing that and knowing, because I didn't know what surrender was. I didn't know what it was to give yourself to something fully before this, and to let the Lord do His work. That I didn't. You hear about that. You hear people say it. No, just give it to the Lord. Like what even is that? What is faith? And that's where it is. It's in that release of your own will. And it's like, I remember after he had talked to me about that, and I was thinking, like, I'm in so much pain and so much fear here. I don't even want to try to be here. And so I said, right, I was just like, Lord, put it in me put it in my heart to want to persevere, because I don't even want that. And He did, and that is the crazy thing, is when that started waking up in me throughout the day, it was like, it's unexplainable how strong that was. And as the day progressed, there was some highs and lows, but into the night that came fully out, and it was one of the best things I've ever felt in my life. Yeah.
To truly surrender.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to continue to take that step, because, we talked about it yesterday, where I felt like, in the beginning for me was difficult, because, we don't have mountains here in Ohio and Indiana. I mean, it's pretty flat. You've seen it. So that was a hard thing to train for. In the spring in Ohio, it's fairly cool. We don't have the humidity until we get into where we're at now in July and August. So I couldn't train for that. But I felt like as the longer we went, the stronger that I got. You know, we talked yesterday about climbing up to the top of the mountain, the last mountain. I think that was the 4th resupply. And that was the best I'd felt. I mean, just like I felt like better than I had ever felt in any training. And was like, man, like I got this. But then, you know, a couple hours later coming down, you know, it's like you start hallucinating because you're so tired and you're seeing things. And, you know, you talked about some things that you saw and asked if I'd seen them. I'm like, no, I don't remember seeing that, but, you know, so I know we were a lot of hallucinating because of our exhaustion, but, you know, it was just amazing how, you know, for me, I felt like the longer it went, the stronger that I got. And I felt like, you know, that was coming off of you because of seeing the struggle in the beginning, but then as coming down the mountain, you know, there towards the end, as we're getting into the early morning hours, I felt like you got stronger. I mean, you were still struggling, right? I mean, we were all struggling, but it didn't seem as visible, you know, and I think that really galvanized us again as a team. Like it was very apparent to me when we got to that 4th resupply on top of the mountain, like I don't think we're losing anybody. Like I think we've got this. Yeah. I mean, there's guys struggling, but we got this. Like nothing's gonna stop us now. It was remarkable.
Yeah, yeah, and like as we got, I would say into the afternoon and evening of that first day there, that you know, the personalities started meshing really well, and we were starting to get to know each other, and like I don't think there could have been a better group of people. Right. Like each person took a role on their own to do a part of it, and it was incredible, and just to hear people encouraging others when they needed it, you know, just wild. Like when we were going down towards the 3rd resupply, that was the hardest decline. The hardest part of the whole day, I think, for me was that section because it was all down, and like my knees were gone, and
we were just getting to dinner time. Like that was when we got the chicken.
Yeah. And you know, there was a section of there where Casey was behind me, and Chad was kind of razzing, I think, to go a little quicker, and like I was in agony, just like nails being driven through my knees, and Casey was just like, "You got this, man. Don't even think about what they're saying. Just keep it going. You're doing like he just had the right thing to say at the right time, and it was just genuine, you know, just care, and man, just."
So when we completed, we got to the end and we were making that trek back individually. What were you thinking? How were you feeling?
I was just grateful. There was there wasn't a sense of like a relief, like, oh yeah, we're done. It was just like peace, and that peace continued for ever since, really, because I got, to me, what I experienced was full assurance that the Lord is with me, and to know that, I don't think anyone can really comprehend what that actually means, but it's like, it really made me understand that all you if you have the faith, he's there, and he will fulfill what he says he will do. He will be the protection that you need, the guidance that you need, and the help that you need, and it will all be provided. And and that's all I could feel. I felt it truly. And how could you not just feel peace with that?
Yeah. Yeah. In that environment, after what we had went through, that group of men, seeing the thing, seeing your struggle, Casey's struggle. I mean, we were all struggled.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody showed it visibly, but there's no doubt everybody was showing, had dealt with all their own different struggles throughout that time. And that's a good answer, peace, because, I've been trying to think, going back on that moment at the end, and it's like, man, what did I feel? Like it wasn't like one of those, you win a championship, playing on a football team or a sport. It was that feeling of peace. It was, it was a feeling of accomplishment. Like we had done this, but it wasn't like a woohoo moment for me. It was just like wow, like we did it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. We did it.
Mm-hmm.
We did it together.
Yeah. Yeah. And the realization of that is like, it's pretty incredible.
It is.
Yeah. And it's like a realization of what you need to let go of to be that we.
Yeah. For the betterment of your teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, what questions do you have for Ray that you can think of?
Well, it's kind of a one for both you guys, because both you guys went into it for individual reasons, right? It's not like you were part of a community and then joined it. But you both mentioned like the finishing as a we and like that team. I know you said that it kind of clicked. Was it the night before when it started clicking, when you first started talking to each other, or when did you? I know there was times in the, in the trek, I think, where you said that's when you felt like you guys were together, but you realized it before that it's going to be like a unit type thing.
Yes.
When did you guys kind of realize that?
I would say, when we even just first met and everyone was in the circle, right? And I think it might've been John Tex that first said about nobody's quitting. And yeah.
I think that was, some of our military guys, Billy and Matt and Grant, I mean, those guys really stepped up and were like, hey, we're going to do this as a team.
Yeah.
And for me, it had been all about me, the whole time. I did a little more training than you. And I didn't battle the same demons in my mind and anxiety, during those trainings. I was excited for it, but it was all about me. Like, it was all about what I had done. What am I going to endure? How am I going to get through this? And they started talking about team and, we're going to complete this together. And I was thinking, well, I'm going to complete it. I don't know if the rest of you guys are. But that kind of set the tone for me. And then it, planted the seed like, okay, we are a team, we are a group, but it didn't really hit until like, again, for me, and I've said it a couple of times, it's coming down to that second resupply when I was right behind you with your bag and, just seeing the pain and the agony that you were in and how every step, I mean, dude, you look brutal.
I know.
I mean, it was brutal. Like, I thought a couple of times, it was going through my mind. Okay, carrying his bag's one thing, but how are we gonna have two guys carrying Ray? Like, how's this gonna work? Like, that's really gonna suck, if we got to carry a guy. I mean, that's how bad it was. But that was that moment, Jamie was like, you ain't quitting here, Ray.
Oh man. Yeah.
You're not quitting here. And that's when it kind of hit me like, all right, we've got this. It ain't about me. It's about we. And so that's what it was for me.
Yeah.
What was your movie saying? Like, when you guys, I think his was "You're Killing Me, Smalls."
From Sandlot. Yeah.
Mine was "I'll Be Back."
Did you use the accent and everything? That's a good one. That's a really good one. I like that. So the flight, was that your first flight by yourself? Because I know before you said, when you got on the flight, you had your mom with you, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that I went once when I was 23 to Germany, but I mean that was and that was meds. Yeah, I was so medicated. I don't even remember the flight, but even the flight to Georgia, that would have been your first flight with no meds or anything. Then by yourself. By myself, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That is crazy.
You did it. Yeah. That's what I say. You know, everybody's heard me talk about you, and when we did my recap, and then when we were talking yesterday, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it is almost, it's not almost, it's a miracle that you even signed up, showed up, and then you were elected the leader of our group out of all of those men. And you were the reason that we all completed, you know? I mean, yes, it was a team effort, but I'm telling you, you were that beacon of light up ahead of us that it was like, and I've said it before, if Ray ain't quitting, none of us are quitting. And so it was the most powerful experience that I've had in my life where I know that Jesus was present. And he was present in you, which in return put him in all of us. Like it was remarkable. I mean, truly was.
Yeah. And obviously I wasn't there, but listening to your story coming up, I think you did like a great job just explaining everything that you went through, like all the fears and everything that you had to overcome to come to this point. And then, you know, when faith came into it, you know, the Bible verse, Isaiah, when it popped up, right? And then all of a sudden, okay, I got this, God. Thank you for giving me the prayer. And then all of a sudden, doubt starts creeping back in. Then what happens? The knee pain. And then you're in the shower like, God, if you can, just take away my pain in my knees. And then what happens? It goes away, right?
Yeah.
Then you go, and it's almost like, you know, you're praying the whole entire time when you're there. You could have gave up. You could have not went, but you went. And then you're just like, God, you know, if you can't take the pain, then just use it. Like, use me. Let me bear it. And then you bear it. And then now that you're done and you hear people like Dan and stuff that recap it, and they're like, we see Jesus in Ray, you know, and you talk about being that peace. And when you talk about your why of you're just wanting to surrender it, right? Like, God, just take it. And then, you know, you feel alive, like you're starting to feel that Holy Spirit really coming in you. And it's like, you know, you said what, 2 years or so that you've really been in your faith.
Yeah. Well, no, only about 7 months or so.
Okay, so 7 months or so.
Yeah.
And it just shows it doesn't matter how far along you've been in faith or anything like that. Like, it's a constant thing. Like, the Holy Spirit's constantly moving in you. It don't matter how new you are into faith or how old you've been into faith. You know, like Dan grew up in church and all this, and somebody with little, you know, I wouldn't say little faith, but like early on in their faith journey, it doesn't matter. God's going to use every single person. And I feel like no matter where you are in life, like that's a big takeaway from this is no matter where you are in life, no matter how unqualified you feel, no matter whatever's holding you back, God will get you through it. And man, like, thank you so much for sharing because it is just, I feel like it's so powerful.
So I'll throw a little wrench in here. Sean, get on the mic over there if you would.
Mic check 1, 2.
So we've got, you know, everybody knows Sean Rubush's story, a good high school friend. He happens to be sitting on the other side of the glass. He wanted to meet Ray. And Sean, do you have any questions for Ray? Any comments that you can think of with everything you've been through in your life? And you know my experience that I had with Arap, but anything you want to add to this?
Remarkable story, first and foremost. What I relate to is when you're little, that fog, just being in that fog of trauma, I kind of say it's like a dream or a nightmare that you're in that you just can't wake up from.
Yeah.
And that really hit home with me. And to be in it as long as you were in it, because I remember very vividly of, you know, how long I was in it and how long it took to get out of it. And so that's what kind of resonated with me, just that. And you describe it perfectly because I kind of explained it like a dream where you're just walking around and it's survival mode. And I remember that very specifically when I was a child. And when you started talking about it, it definitely hit home for me. So I mean, I loved your story. And I'm a better person for knowing your story.
Thank you.
Oh, I think a lot of people are, man. You know, both you men are inspirations to so many people out there. And it's remarkable. I mean, what a blessing for me to be able to have this opportunity to know you guys, to know your stories, and to be able to share it with others who will be impacted in a positive way. And to kind of close this out, Ray, If there's somebody out there who is struggling with that fear, that anxiety, that stress, maybe not as deep as you were into it, but just that fear of trying to take that next step, or how to get out of the confinement of their bedroom, of their home, of whatever situation there is, what advice would you have for somebody to try to take that step in the right direction?
I would say, to know that it will pass. The suffering is guaranteed, but the degree of that you will experience it is not always going to be the same. If it is absolutely horrible, one day it won't be. So you just can't give up. That's the thing, right? You just can't give up. And if you truly ask for guidance in it from the Lord, I do believe that you will find it. And it won't be easy, and it'll oftentimes not be the answer that you want, but it's not what you want, it's His will. You just have to surrender to that and keep going.
That's a great answer. And you and I talked, I think it was this morning, about different things, some ideas that we have for BeTempered and the movement that we're the community that we're trying to create. And Sean knows this, we're looking for people that would get on stage and share their story. And, I knew people were coming. I didn't know who they were. And we talked about it this morning. I think you're one of those people. You're one of those stories that people can relate to, differently than what Sean went through. But there's so much similarities in your story and Sean's story, and the struggles of just trying to get through those difficulties that you faced, as a young child and in your adulthood. Dude, you're only 7 months into this faith journey. Like, how's it feel? Oh,
it's incredible. Because I'm just so excited to see what more happens. Because the blessings are just like, the abundance. It's so incredible. And you take, for me, I can't be anything but grateful for the things that happen. Like, even if it's something that's hard to stomach, or painful, it's like, oh no, I can see the good being worked in it, and it's an opportunity. So I'm just so excited for everything that's to happen.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's also amazing that you take a farm kid from rural Preble County, Ohio, and a tattoo artist from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and stick them in the North Georgia mountains, where one of them walks like Forrest Gump. and here we are in Richmond, Indiana, recording a podcast. You've been staying with my family for the last couple of days, and we've been taking you on a whirlwind tour across our community and meeting people. And we got another finish out today, and you fly home tomorrow. It's truly remarkable how God works, and how He puts certain people in your lives at the time that you need it. And man, I needed you. I'm truly grateful for our friendship. I don't know where this is all going to go, but I know that we'll continue to walk that path, walk that journey, and there'll be trials and there'll be challenges along the way. But there's no doubt that what you've went through in your life, what we went through together in those North Georgia mountains, are like bring it on, man. We're going to get through it no matter what. So thank you for being here.
Oh yeah. Thank you very much. It's been the best.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, everybody. I don't know how you can't share this story. It's truly remarkable. Somebody out there needs to hear it. We continue to say thank you for your ears, for your support. Continue to like and comment and do all those things so we can continue to grow this show and to share Ray's story, and go out and Be Tempered.
Hi, my name is Allie Schmidt. This is my dad, Dan. He owns Catron's Glass.
Thanks, Allie. Things like doors and windows go into making a house, but when it's your home, you expect more, like the great service and selection you'll get from Catron's Glass. Vinyl replacement windows from Catron's come with a lifetime warranty, including accidental glass breakage replacement. Also ask for custom shower doors and many other products and services. Call 962-1636, locally owned with local employees for nearly 30 years.
Catron's Glass, the clear choice.
Hey, do you want to catch every episode live as it's being recorded? Log on to patreon.com/BeTempered for exclusive footage behind the scenes, photos, and a live recording as it takes place. Go to patreon.com/BeTempered.